what's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Progenitor. This is a show where we go over a director's entire filmography, talking about themes, shots, pacing, and give a brief review, all within 30 minutes. So let's get started. I'm going to do something a little different today. I'm going to kind of break down a little bit about the background of the film. Then I'm going to go into Wife's Corner. Then I'm going to go over themes and then shots. And then at the end, I'll go over the cast and the crew. Because, sometimes people aren't as interested in cast and crew. Why don't we get it started? I believe this next film is Ridley Scott's first foray into the modern day war genre. I mean, he's had wars in his previous films like The Duelist and Gladiator, but those were only to establish a place, time, and character. Whereas this film is a 100% war film with no real breathing room for anything else but like chest thumping and jingoistic patriotism. I love it. This film is Black Hawk Down. Now, I know you guys remember G.I. Jane and y'all are saying, well, G.I. Jane had warfare in it. Well, technically it did, technically it didn't. So it wasn't a specified war. It was more of a rescue mission. They were just trying to get a unit out. And that was at the very end of the film. So the entire beginning up to an hour 45 minutes of the film, they're in training mode. They're just training to be Navy SEALs or what. But in this movie, it is all out war after 20 minutes. So it's relentless in sound, action, tone, and just pacing. It's kinetic. It's all there. There's basically no time for you to take a breather. And when there is a pause in the action, all the dialogue is just about, we need to survive. How do we get out of this? Leave no man behind. Or don't shoot that gun so close to my head. I can't hear anymore. Just warfare. It's not about, I think at the beginning, there's some dialogue about, oh, what are you going to do with your girlfriend when you get back and blah, blah, blah. Or talking on the phone, calling the girlfriends or the wives. But that's not as important than when they're actually in the battlefield. And that's when things go crazy. So I'm going to get into a little bit of the Oscar history of this film. At the 74th Oscars, the film was nominated for 2 awards, Best Director and Best Cinematography, and it won 2 awards for Best Film Editing with Pietro Scalia and Best Sound from Michael Minkler, Myra Ntinga, and Chris Monroe. So if you've seen this movie, you know you've heard this film. And the sound is incredible in this film. The gunfire, the helicopter, the RPGs, the entire warfare, just explosions everywhere. It's amazing. The pacing of this film is amazing. It's 2 hours and it breezes by. I never felt there was an unneeded scene in this film. Whereas in a lot of Ridley Scott movies, I feel like there's maybe a shot too long on the environment or on the set, like I said in Blade Runner previously. But in this film, I really felt like everything was knocking on all cylinders. Now, I'm going to get into the whole Best Director and Best Cinematography real quick because they were just nominated. They did not win. So I have no gripes with Best Cinematography, actually, because Best Cinematography was Andrew Lesnie for Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. And let's just say that's one of the most beautiful Lord of the Rings films. There's less CGI in that movie, and there's more practical in that film. So I really enjoyed it a lot more. Whereas I have more gripes with Best Director. Now, I'm going to list what happened in the 74th Oscars, and I want you guys to just think about it. Number 1, you have David Lynch for Mulholland Drive. Number 2, you have Robert Altman for Gosford Park. Number 3, you have, what's his name? Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson, the Lord of the Rings guy. Then you got Ridley Scott for Black Hawk Down. And then you have Ron Howard of A Beautiful Mind. Now, I am going to give you 3 seconds to think about who actually won. 1, 2, 3. Ron Howard? Are you kidding me? This is, okay, A Beautiful Mind, great dramatic film about a real life story, great performances, okay, Russell Crowe, Paul Bettany, Jennifer Connelly, great. But direction wise, it can't just be about the performances. And this film, Black Hawk Down, everything is hitting on all cylinders, dude. Everything, the cinematography, the freaking performances. It's such an ensemble though. You can't really pinpoint a specific performance, although there are a number of great performances in this film. Josh Hartnett, Eric Bana. We'll get into the cast and crew. So I'm going to continue now. I've gone through my tirade about what the heck, Oscars. You guys are freaking crazy. Ron Howard for A Beautiful Mind. It's just because it's a biopic, isn't it? Freaking at least go with Lord of the Rings. Jeez, Black Hawk Down? Come on. So many great directors that year. I am so sorry, Ron Howard. I love your films as well. Cinderella Man, great movie. And we're going to keep going. This film was shot primarily in Morocco. Originally, they wanted to shoot in Jordan, but it was too landlocked and too built up, too modernized in a sense. Not only that, so this movie is based off of a book called Black Hawk Down, A Story of Modern War by Mark Bowden. And in that book, there were about 100 key characters, and they had to cut that down to 39. Now, each of the actors who played Army Rangers took a 1-week Ranger familiarization course at Fort Benning. The Delta Force actors took a 2-week commando course from the 1st Special Warfare Training Group at Fort Bragg. And Ron Eldard and the actors playing 160th SOAR helicopter pilots were lectured by captured aviator Michael Durant at Fort Campbell. Now, that's a lot of just the production and how well the movie did. I love this movie. I give it a 5. It is in my top 10 of Ridley Scott films, which I will explain at the end of all of these Ridley Scott films. I will give my top 10, and actually I'm gonna rank every single one of them, so you will get a definitive reasoning of why I chose each film at the end of this whole season. Now I'm gonna get into Wife's Corner, and I think she really liked this movie. Now we've seen it twice already, once on a date in San Francisco and we were just taking a break, and one for this show. And it's just so visceral. And, I really felt the tension. And let's be honest, she enjoys action films, but things can get bloody at times. So there was a couple scenes where she didn't want to watch. So that makes sense. Anyways, we're going to move on. Let's get to themes. Empower female characters. I don't think there's a female character in this movie except for the wife who missed her husband's last phone call. This is a movie trope, to say the least, but it happens, and unfortunately, there's no real empowered female character in this film. Nature space is a hostile and uncontrollable environment. Yep, Mogadishu, that's all I gotta say. That's the setting of this film, and that's all that needs to be said. It's a war movie, and the streets of Mogadishu are hostile and uncontrollable, and the citizens of the city come out, and the rebel, just the armada that the Mogadishu clans have are attacking the U.S. forces, and it's crazy because you never, as the U.S. Army soldiers, they don't know the land that much, so they have to kind of adapt to it, which is something we'll get to. But yeah, it's totally hostile. And number 3, the only way to survive is to adapt. Ding, ding, ding. Originally, the mission was to capture Mohammed Farah Aidid, but quickly it becomes a rescue mission to protect the American soldiers and the military that went to capture the dude. But all of a sudden, once they get that one Black Hawk down, things turn around and they have to protect their own. If they did not adapt and move from offense to defense, back to offense, the soldiers probably would never have made it out. And they're technically not supposed to be there. The UN is there just to support the citizens of the city, but they're not actually supposed to be providing military services or whatnot. But this was supposed to kind of be like a stealth mission, according to the film. So, number 4, age does not mean a thing. Ding, ding, ding. A lot of these soldiers are young, are super young, and they're very brave. And they might end with an unfortunate fate like Orlando Bloom's character, or they might be led to success like Josh Hartnett's SSG Matt Eversman. I forgot what SSG means, but I know he was some kind of sergeant. But yeah, we'll just go from there. Age does not mean a thing though, because soldiers are of all ages. So they got wise ones, they got older ones, those commanders sitting in the tents, and then you got the guys on the ground like William Fichtner or Eric Bana or freaking Tom Hardy's in this film. Anyways, next one. Do not trust rich people. And this isn't much in this film except for the fact that, you're trying to capture an evil warlord and Osman Ali Atto, who is a faction leader that sells arms to make money. So he sells arms to the rebel warriors and stuff like that are fighting against the NATO soldiers. So yeah, I guess there's a little bit of that, but it's not as heavy as in previous Ridley Scott films. Anyways, moving on. Violence don't solve a thing, brains do. All right. This is a war movie, folks. So, although violence is all over this movie, there are many instances where strategy is the key. You have to be able to navigate through the streets of Mogadishu without being spotted by enemy soldiers. You got to regroup. You got to set up strong points for defense. Those are the key to their survival. And that requires the use of brains and bravery, you know? And you've got people strategizing all throughout the film. You can't just shoot, because once you shoot, the rebel soldiers of Mogadishu are going to find you and they're going to shoot at you. So you got to be smart about who you're attacking, when you're attacking, where you're attacking. So next one, happy wife, happy life. And not so sure about this. The one wife that is in the film, she gets a call. Guess what? Her husband dies. Spoiler alert. Did I mention we're doing spoilers throughout this film? The movie's like pretty old, so you should probably know by now. Anyways, distrust of authority. That's something strange here. Let me get into it. So there's not as much distrust as soldiers have to trust their authority to get them out safely, but there are many moments in the film where you feel like things could have been done better with more openness. For example, Pakistan and the 10th Mountain Division were a little taken aback that they were not included in the Americans' plans. So they weren't ready to send additional reinforcements when the Americans are pretty much bombarded by the rebels, pretty much. And this delayed the Pakistani army and the 10th Mountain Division their ability to get their group together and aid in the rescue of the remaining American soldiers. So that is one of the keys of distrust of authority, where everyone kind of distrusts the American army because we didn't particularly open up our plans to everyone else, pretty much. Money is coveted. Ding, ding, ding. As mentioned, although money is not as big of an issue in this movie, it can corrupt and make you want to buy weapons and fuel a war to get more power. And that's why they had to capture that Osman Ali Atto, who's selling weapons so he can get more money. So pretty much he sells weapons so he can get more money, and those weapons hurt and kill other people. So when money is coveted, people get hurt, basically. Next up, Battle of the Sexes. Again, not so much. Number 11, do not trust robots/androids. Come on, guys. Let's be honest. This hasn't occurred again since Blade Runner and Alien. So there haven't been androids or robots, but there have been characters that seem to compartmentalize their lives very well so that the violence does not impact them visually on the film. For example, Poot, played by Eric Bana, and even Tom Sizemore's Danny McKnight, they just keep going. And these are guys you can actually trust. So they're unemotional male figures, but they are also very caring of the people in their group. They don't show their emotion, pretty much. Not that they're unemotional. They just don't show it. But you can tell by their performance that they feel it, but they allow the logic and their decisions and their actions to prove their point of how much they care about these people, not just through words, basically, mostly through action. And finally, the afterlife, death, God. Although there's no particular talk of the afterlife or death, there's a lot of death in this film. It's a war slash rescue mission. And I like how Ridley Scott, I don't know if he did this specifically, but it feels sort of like a Thin Red Line Terrence Malick throwback in the sense that there's some monologues and off-screen narration of letters being read out loud to loved ones, or even just messages on voicemail boxes. It gives the film a more ethereal and peaceful feel to it that is not in the rest of the film. And it gives the viewer a moment to breathe, in a sense. It gives you that peace, no matter how brief it is. It is there, so that's always nice. Now, let's get into some shots, folks. Now I'm going to go to 6 minutes and 15 seconds. Now what's going on is they're in a helicopter, the army crew, and they're following Osman Ali Atto. And right at 6 minutes and 15 seconds, they snipe the engine so that the car dies. And basically, that's how they get Mr. Otto. And basically, they capture him. At 43 minutes and 31 seconds, Blackburn, played by Orlando Bloom, falls out of the helicopter and hits the floor from the chopper. So, Blackburn, Orlando Bloom's character, is pretty much only in the movie for five to 10 minutes, I think, altogether. He's a really green soldier, and he's never jumped out of a helicopter before. So this is his first mission. He's on the helicopter with Josh Hartnett's Eversman, and he's about to go, but right when he's about to jump, one of the rebels shoots an RPG at the helicopter. The helicopter turns to dodge, and right as it turns, Blackburn falls, and then impact at 43 minutes and 31 seconds. At 49 minutes 39 seconds, African militia gets blown up by an RPG aimed at the Humvee. So basically, there's an African militia soldier, and he's shooting at one of the Humvees, and one of the other African militia shoots an RPG directly at the Humvee, misses the Humvee, and blows this African militiaman up completely. And you see it right at 49 minutes 39 seconds. Limbs fly everywhere. It's a really cool shot, but it's super grotesque. At 49 minutes and 53 seconds, soldier on the big gun gets shot. So they're on the Humvee. There's a big gun, and there's a soldier. I think his name is Sergeant Pilla, and he's shooting, and then he gets shot. He falls back down, and that's the exact moment where he gets shot. At 51 minutes and 28 seconds, an RPG hits the first Black Hawk. At 1 hour, I said Black Hawk, right? Man, that's so weird to say. At 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 52 seconds, another RPG hits the second Black Hawk. So 2 Black Hawks go down at once. Now, I'm going to go back now. There's a scene at 1 hour, 1 minute, and 48 seconds. One of the army men that is with the Eversman crew, he gets separated from his crew, and he goes into this house, and he's basically hiding there. He sees it turns out it's a school, and he's exiting through the back, but he slips. And right when he slips, at 1 hour, 1 minute, and 48 seconds, an African child shoots his father by accident because he was aiming at the doorway. But since the army soldier slipped, he didn't shoot the army man. He shot his dad, which honestly is really sad. At an hour, 18 minutes, and 39 seconds, I just like this because there's an asthma inhaler, and a soldier named Thomas does his asthma inhaler and decides to go back in because prior to that, he was panicking. He was telling his superiors, I can't go back out there. But the superior just kind of gave him a talk and kind of built him up a little bit. So he took his asthma inhaler and used it, and it was pretty authentic. So he went on fighting. Let's see. I got a lot of shots, and there's a lot of crazy stuff. I like at 1 hour, 51 minutes, and 19 seconds, Hoot goes night vision, and this is kind of like the night vision point of view shot where they're going in for the kill. And at 1 hour, 51 minutes, and 24 seconds, Hoot freaking jumps up on this dude and strangles him to death. It's freaking crazy. Now, at 1 hour, 56 minutes, and 18 seconds, Hoot has just witnessed one of Eversman's crew die. One of the guys in Eversman's group just passed away. Eversman is hurt, and Hoot walks up to the dude and takes the guy's ammo at 1 hour, 56 minutes, and 18 seconds. And Eversman is like, "What the hell are you doing?" And Hoot just says, "We need the ammo." So it's all about work for Hoot. Now, next up, 2 hours, 12 minutes, and 10 seconds. "Hey, Hoot, why do you do it, man?" This is Hoot, played by Eric Bana. He's kind of giving a monologue. "Why do you do it?" And then at 2 hours and 12 minutes and 28 seconds, he answers it. It's not about war or anything like that. It's not about doing the right thing. It's about the man next to you. So it's a really great, really touching monologue. And I definitely recommend this film. Five stars, bro. It's one of my favorite Ridley Scott films. And now we'll get into a little bit of the cast and crew. So, of course, the film was directed by Ridley Scott. It was produced by Jerry Bruckheimer and Ridley Scott. If you don't know Jerry Bruckheimer, come on. Top Gun, Crimson Tide, The Rock, Armageddon. He was like, Pirates of the Caribbean. Every one of his movies, big explosions. Just remember that. Screenplay by Ken Nolan. So he wrote a later movie called Only the Brave, and that film is kind of about firefighting. So I haven't seen it. I'm sure it's good though. And it was based on a book called Black Hawk Down, A Story of Modern War by Mark Bowden. The music was by Hans Zimmer. I love this theme. There's a beautiful cello, and it's just a lovely main theme. And there's also some more ethnic music and very strong pulsating music to go with the warfare. But anytime the movie slows down, it has this beautiful melodic cello theme, and it's wonderful to listen to. Next up, cinematography was by Slawomir Idziak. So he did a lot of films for Krzysztof Kieslowski, like Double Life of Veronique. Antoine Fuqua's King Arthur. He did Gattaca. And then we have production design by Arthur Max and editing by Pietro Scalia. Now, Ridley Scott collaborations. This is Pietro Scalia's fourth Ridley Scott film, Hans Zimmer's fifth Ridley Scott film, Zelchko Ivanek second Ridley Scott film. First one was Hannibal, and Arthur Max's third film. Now, moving on, all-star cast. There's a bunch of folks in this film. I'm just going to mention the ones that I remember the most. Sam Shepard. Now, if you don't know Sam Shepard, I believe he was in Days of Heaven. Great movie, Terrence Malick. Eric Bana, freaking one of his best performances. He is a freaking great actor. I love this guy. He made Troy amazing, although it's a really trashy film. He made Hulk a great film because he was able to bring those emotions out. He's got a lot of other great performances. William Fichtner, come on, Dark Knight, Bank Dude. He was in Heat as well. Zelchko Ivanek, kind of already mentioned him. He was in Hannibal. Ewan McGregor, come on, Train Spotting. And you also got him in Moulin Rouge. I love that film. Josh Hartnett. Dude, he was in this one movie called 40 Days and 40 Nights. It's kind of like a romantic comedy. And he decides to go celibate for 40 days and 40 nights until he meets the perfect woman. And he gets along with her very well. And he does not have sex for 40 days and 40 nights. I enjoyed that film a lot. And I enjoy most of the films Josh Hartnett has been in. He was also in Sin City for like a short segment. Next up, Tom Hardy. Come on, guys. Inception, Dunkirk, Dark Knight Rises. Orlando Bloom. Now, Orlando Bloom, I gotta say, he's not one of my favorite actors, but he's serviceable. Especially in this film, he doesn't do much. He's got a really bad southern accent. He's not really doing it that well, but he's in this film. I will say, in Kingdom of Heaven, his performance, since he is the lead in that film, is drastically better, stronger, and you can tell there's some growth in him as an actor. Now, Richard Tyson, all I remember him from is Kindergarten Cop as the bad father, pretty much. Jeremy Piven, you got him from Entourage. He used to do some serious films. What is that? Smoking Aces? Freaking fun film if you've never seen it. Super violent, and I think he's on coke most of the movie. But Jeremy Piven, he was also in Heat as a doctor. He had a bunch of chest hair in that film. George Harris and Ty Burrell. Now that is the main cast. And we are done, folks. I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Do y'all like this way better or the other way better? We'll have to figure it out. But, folks, I would like you guys to go to the next film along with me. Next film is Matchstick Men with Nicolas Cage and Sam Rockwell. And it is a charming con man heist film. One of my favorite Ridley Scott films. It might even be in the top 10. So, from me to you, I'm sorry. I don't think it's streaming right now, so you might have to buy it. I believe it was $14.99 last I checked. But you know what? Let me check my letterbox right now. Let me see if it is streaming. No, it is not. So sorry, folks. Spend a little money. If you can get the Blu-ray, hey, maybe you might get some director commentary. Like I said, if there's one director that's willing to do commentary, it's Ridley Scott, and he does wonderful film commentaries. Okay, guys, so let's watch Matchstick Men for next week, and we'll talk to you then. All right, bye.